provide us with a better life.
His name was Robbie Davis.
My last name is Wong. From my full-blooded Chinese grandpa.
I'll never forget the looks on the veterans' faces.
Birthdays in my family must include piñatas.
Do you remember the day you found out my secret?
We met 3 years ago. I busted through the door like I had just slain the dragon.
My last name is Wong, and I was forced by the principal to apologize for taking it wrong.
Mijo, would you read me the scriptures? My grandmother Margie would ask. So we'd sit there with the Bible in one hand and the dictionary in the other. And we would read. But my favorite part about our study sessions is when Grandmother Margie would look at me and say, "See, Mijo, that's the great thing about studying His Word. You can use it to love and serve all people."
Do I believe? I followed my pastor and parents without question. I believe in the Lord and the stories of the Bible, and the 10 Commandments are just common sense. But sometimes the stories get twisted. I still identify as a Christian, but my last name is Garcia, a very common last name in Mexico. Now, when my grandfather received his 2 surnames, his name became Antonio Garcia Garcia.
Do you remember the day you found out my secret? You told the whole school something about me that wasn't yours to tell. Something I was only beginning to understand for myself. I was laughed at, stared at, and the whispers were never subtle.
What would Ancestry DNA say about me? Maybe that I'm a science experiment. East Indian, Guyanese, Trinidad, American, Chinese. But my last name, Wong, comes from my full-blooded Chinese grandpa. It means king.
I've known I was different ever since I was 11. And since I was a teenager, I've identified as gay.
Every Thursday, I would sit in church, waiting for the Mass to start. But over time, I started to ask myself why.
I'm gay everywhere I go. At family barbecues, and even in the hood, where I grew up. I'm even gay at church. Life's been brutal, oppressive, and not always pretty.
I was so lonely. I was so lonely. I hate being alone. When I was 17, I attempted suicide. After slicing my wrist, I heard a voice inside my head saying, "Just breathe. Wait for the sunrise." That voice saved my life.
Did I believe?
feared I would lose him. Forever. Because I fucked up. I lashed out on him for something he didn't even do. And now he's gone forever.
When I was about 2.5 years old, my father traveled to the U.S. to provide us with a better life. In Mexico, we lived poor. We even showered in buckets and used the restroom outside. A year later, my father called. He was ready for us.
All of our family gatherings are East Indian. We blast reggae music and soca music and party while drinking and barbecuing. Lots and lots of Indian food.
Our journey to the U.S. was difficult. Hiding in bushes. Don't get caught! But I was only 4 and tired of walking. Ama, ya no quiero caminar. But I wouldn't shut up when it was time to. 3 attempts later, we finally made it.
Birthdays in my family must include piñatas. Or in the words of my father, I don't give a damn if you're 50 years old. Everyone does a piñata. Everybody hits it a couple times. And then we let the kids bust it open. It's Mexican anger management.
We share the same last name, James.
We met 3 years ago.
I hate it. I hate him.
I was not comfortable in my own skin, but she was the one comfortable being herself.
I still see the burnt car in front of the yard. Pictures of my brothers and I used as accelerant.
From foster homes to group homes to being adopted to being sent back. She could have easily lost herself, but she remained true and strong to herself.
Pictures of his own children meant nothing to him. He risked his own life to ensure ours would end. All memories of my once picket fence life were destroyed that day.
She showed me the meaning of love when it was I who needed it the most.
It was the 70th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, where I performed at the memorial with my high school's marching band. I'll never forget the looks on the veterans' faces. Such pride, sadness, appreciation, I'll never forget.
Pop, squish, Cicero, Lipschitz. I hear the chorus of Cell Block Tango play as I approach the scene shop.
I love Prince, but it hasn't always been that way. I remember my aunt forcing me to watch Purple Rain over and over. Really? But luckily, I was with her the day that he died. We cried. He showed me it was okay to be different.
I busted through the door like I had just slain the dragon. He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame. If you'd have been there,
if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same.
Those were the days of high school that I missed.
Remember when we were playing tag in the elementary school playground? You pushed me down and you called me a nigger.
was Robbie Davis. He was a blue-eyed, blonde-haired preacher's son from Arkansas. His southern voice stole my heart. He was HIV positive. I was not. Or so I thought. I got my results from Denise, who had known me since I was 12. She was devastated. I was numb. At the tender young age of 22, my mortality had been confirmed, and my heart had been broken. Robbie wanted me no more.